Hey Maria, back with another video. It's 6:29 p.m. and it is June 24th, and I am getting ready to take a shower in a few minutes. I was finishing up my sewing project, and I was quite pleased with it. So anyway, I was thinking that this video should be for just targeted individuals. Well, I'm sure that my burps are going to be listening in on this anyway, but I was thinking about back up away from the camera. It's like, ooh, it distorts you. But anyway, I was thinking that there's a lot of people who are very clingy to the past. They think about people that they used to know, and when they find out that the people that they used to know have been literally running over their life, they get really sad because there's a lot of sentimental attachment to these people. But when you think about it and the harm that they've caused you, why would you want to be with them anyway? And some people think, well, maybe they've changed, and there was this one girl on YouTube, I forgot her name, but she ended up living in Mexico. She moved to Mexico. I mean, her targeting was really bad, and it didn't even stop there, okay? But anyway, I think there was a time where she did reconcile with her family, but then the next thing I knew, I saw her on those videos because something went wrong and her family didn't change. I don't think her family changed at all. So they don't change. They can't change. These people are who they are, just like you are who they are. And that's the tug of war that's going on. They want you to be like them. And some people just don't belong with each other. They just don't. And there's no way that you can fix that. I'm not sentimentally attached to any of these people. Not anymore. Some people might think, well, what about, your blood relations? Well, apparently, you look back, and if you look back too, I'm sure you'll start noticing that there were certain things that they've done in the past that would that should have told you that what they really thought about you. And the very fact that they put you in this situation in the first place and would, intermingle with you at certain times and keep these sort of secrets from you kind of shows you that they really didn't think that highly of you. Now, some of the people that I remember in growing up with in school, I remember having really good times with some of these people. But you have to understand that anybody can have a good time with anybody. Like there's been times where, you go to certain events or whatever, and you meet people that you never known before, and you laugh and you talk, and you might have a couple drinks with them and stuff like that. And but that's just socializing. That's plain and simple. It's socializing. And then in situations like this, you start to realize that that is not enough to build up a friendship. It just isn't. So most people really aren't, including your own family, they don't really have what it takes to be a true friend. Okay? So I'm letting go of the baggage. Speaking of baggage, I finished my laptop bag, and here it is, the little people person, and I thought I did a pretty good job on it, I was going to add a zipper at the top of it because, but I went to the store, and see, this is a really bright yellow, and apparently I thought it was like a canvas, but it's more like I don't know, it's like a stain resistant type material, which is kind of nice. I didn't intend to buy like a stain material, but it ended up working out okay for me. It was a little hard to sew, only because once it gets really bulky, you start adding in all the padding of the laptop for the laptop case. And then, I did buy a bunch of sewing needles, and my eyes are really bad. Like, the sewing needles are very hard to read. So it was like, I kept changing needles because, this particular needle wasn't working right, because you're using more fabric, and the more fabric you use, you have to change needles. It's a long story. If you know how to sew, then even just a little bit, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm pleased with the bag. So I didn't use the zipper because I couldn't find the bright yellow, so I ended up using some little fastener snaps it's like a Velcro is what it is, and it closes the bag very nicely. My laptop fits in there, as well as my accessories like the cord and stuff like that. So I'm happy with the bag. Now, I know it's a kind of a silly bag, okay? Like I mentioned before, I like little people. So this is more of a sentimental type thing, you know. If I don't really go anywhere, and I don't really need a laptop case, mind you. But if I was to go somewhere important, of course I would wear, like, you know, a regular bag that you'd buy at the store. Probably a nice black one, or something that was more sophisticated. But, you know, this is cute. It's fun stuff, you know, fun. So anyway, so I was thinking, you know, also thinking about, you know, I actually had a decent day today. I will say that I was a little discombobulated. I mean, I really had a hard time, like, I was foggy. You know, my brain was foggy. I wasn't really thinking a lot today, meaning, you know, I was kind of tired, run down, and I was just coming off of this whole, what do you call it? Feeling, I'm like relieved. I'm relieved because I feel as though I've learned enough, or know enough about my targeting to feel a sense of, what do you call it, peace, I guess. And it's like your brain is unwinding, and it's just like it kind of needs to rest. Although at the time you don't really feel sleepy, it's just that, you know, your brain is just at this point where it's like it's had its run, so it's going through periods of exhaustion. Mind exhaustion is basically what it was. So I was just really screwed up today. So I'm just trying to get myself together and refocus, you know, and just kind of thinking about you know, what I want to do in life, and how I feel, you know. You know, when we're targeted individuals, we lose everything, basically. We lose everything that we cared about, okay? Some of those include people. Some of that includes, you know, the kind of work that we wanted to do. Some of it includes just our quality of life is completely, significantly changed, okay? And all because of other people who would try to force you and manipulate you into situations that you would never ask for, okay? So obviously, if people don't accept you the way that you are, there is no way in the world that they could ever be your friend. And when they try to, you know, change you, you know, to see things, whether that be religion, wearing certain clothes from Hot Look, or whatever, you know, it's like you will never be happy with these people, okay? So one of the things I've you know, which kind of confirms that, is the fact that, you know, I think I mentioned, I did mention it last week. I made a video on it about how even after all of this time, you know, you're talking, you're making all these videos, you know, good and well they're listening to them, and then they make these videos, they set you up on another job interview that is basically in a roundabout way kind of to insult you. So these people will never learn. They will always be the way that they are. So the best thing for you to do is detach from them. They have no value to you. They will never add value to you. And, you know, I'm a very rare person. You know, I do understand that I tend to be a little different than most people. That doesn't mean I can't get along with other people, because I can. I'm extremely polite, you know. I can relate to other people. I understand other people's problems and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and call everybody my friend. That's not a good idea. I don't think anybody should do that. You know, the majority of people are very self-serving, and that includes people who are married to each other, siblings, even your own mother. You know, your family can be someone who is basically digging your grave. Okay, seriously. So you have to think about these things and try not to be sentimental. I will say it's difficult to build your life back, because you really don't have a point of reference, because everything is so scattered, you know, from the time periods that have the time period of them, like your initial targeting, you finding out, things change, you know. It's very difficult to get your footing again, you know. But I can assure you that you are going to be happier without these people in your life. You will be so much happier. And I mean, there's not a whole lot of happiness on this earth, okay? But compared to, how would you like to go to a job where everything is toxic from day one, to where you understand when you walk through those doors, you don't have a chance, you know? How would you feel? I mean, obviously, I'm talking to TI, so you know how it feels, okay? Sometimes they're nice. They're nice to you because they want to get information from you. They want to get closer enough to you so that they could kind of spy on you, analyze you, gossip about you. And so when you start realizing the kind of garbage that's going on, you, of course, the most important, the most logical thing is to scoot your ass away from them, right? As much as you can, but you want to keep it to a level of where you're polite, and you want to go ahead and take instructions from them. If they need something, you're going to be accommodating to them. But as far as really sharing and talking to these people, it's impossible to do, because it's infiltrated with perps, right? And so then they start getting aggressive because you aren't cooperating. And then once you get expelled from that place, which is going to happen sooner or later because their agenda isn't working, and you're not cooperating with something that you had no knowledge of, then you're going to leave that company, and then they're going to be right there again trying to force their agenda. It will never end, okay? There's a lot of videos on narcissistic abuse, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. So it's not an easy thing to do. It was easy for me because I'm very cut and dry. It's like, you either prove yourself to be a good friend to me, and if you can't be, well then let's sever ties. Because I understand people too well to get sucked up into this idea of thinking, well, maybe it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Don't compromise yourself. Don't do it, okay? Because you will be miserable, I can assure you. So anyway, I was also thinking about some of the things that the coworkers said, and the things that the coworkers say. Okay, sometimes it's on their own accord, but most of the time, considering the fact that I am a targeted individual, okay, these things are being said by the perps. It's influenced by the perps, and it's being said by the people who are working in that particular company. Okay, so there was an article about things that black people, white people say to black people that really is kind of annoying. It really is annoying. So I kind of highlighted the ones that I related to because obviously if people are actually putting this on a website, it's common enough to get on people's nerves, okay? So the first one I thought was like, when you encounter a white person, it's not necessary to think that you have to somehow speak in a certain language or use certain catchphrases that a lot of black people use in order to relate to another person. It's like it's annoying. So I remember hearing Steve Murray. I hate to mention his name. Okay, I would like to say that I don't want to mention these people's names anymore. Okay, but if from now on I'll just say a particular coworker or a particular boss. Okay, but you guys all know who you are, right? So I guess you can figure it out amongst yourselves if you guys are listening, which I'm sure you are. But this video is for TIs. Anyway, he said, "You go, girl," and I'm like, that's not necessary. It really isn't. As a matter of fact, I don't even use those terms. And there's a lot of things that terminology that a lot of black people use, and then a lot of black people's languages or terms or expressions, I should say, get filtered down into the general public. Okay, so it becomes kind of trendy to say, like, for example, some people say your baby mama. I don't like that term. I will never say that. Okay, it's like that's, to me, I don't like improper English. I don't like that. Okay, and not all, there's other black people who don't like it either. Okay, so just speak the way you're supposed to speak. Okay, and when you encounter somebody, you're not on that same level, as somebody. You're assuming that everybody's the same by saying those sort of things, and it's kind of like, sometimes it can be offensive. Sometimes I just roll my eyes. It's not so much offensive, like I feel as though, they did anything wrong. It's just sometimes it's just ignorance or whatever. But whatever the case is, it's not one of my favorite, things to hear. Anyway, oh yeah, anything that ends with the term girlfriend, when they're referencing a woman or they're talking to you like girlfriend, that's not necessary either. And that's one of those things that would go along with the you go girl. It's not necessary. Oh yeah, the all lives matter. Okay, I'm not a part of the Black Lives Matter movement, but I do understand the point, because obviously people don't think that Black Lives Matter. When they do the sort of things that they do, completely totally undermining what a black person does, or belittling a black person, or thinking that they have the rights to do certain things to a black person or think for a black person, then that just goes to show you that there's a lot of dehumanization there. You know, so that's what black people are talking about. And often, I do know a lot of it's even worse than that. There's some people who are talking about the police brutality that's been, you know, acted against African Americans. And so they're talking about it, you know. No, I'm not a part of that movement, but I do understand what they're saying, okay? Yes, all lives matter, but the fact of the matter is that there's an obvious, it's very obvious that this is how black people are treated, you know. And so there is a reason, and there is a point to that, you know. And so when they say these sort of things, they don't understand. I think they do understand, but they're trying to downplay it, okay? I don't want to hear it. Oh yeah, so do black people, like they'll ask a question like, do black people play tennis? Do black people do this? Black people do every goddamn thing under the sun, okay? Black people were brought to this country. We learned everything from white people. Not everything, okay? But I'm saying is, as far as what was here brought into this country, we were, you know, owned by white people. So white people are the people who basically gave us, you know, introduced us to some of these things. Okay, some of the things black people invented. There's a lot of black inventors for that. You know, you might want to go ahead and Google it. There's a lot of black people who invented things that we use in our home every single day. Okay, but black people do everything. Okay, just the same as white people. Some things black people do more than white people, you know, but for the most part, black people pretty much do the same things, you know. Ignorant. We're all discriminated against. That's another one. We're all discriminated. Yes, we are all discriminated against, but there is absolutely no way in the world you can deny that black people are discriminated against more than anyone on the face of the planet. Okay, so that's another dumb one. Oh, this one. I've never gone to a legal conference for black women, but I do see the point and the reason why somebody would. Okay, but here's another one. I don't understand why you need to go to a legal conference for black women. If we had a legal conference for white men, there would be an issue. Okay, well, maybe because black people have special issues. Okay, like for example, my hair issue. Okay, that tends to that white people don't understand. Okay, so there's issues that relate to us, okay, that are exclusive to us that white people don't understand, and that's why it needs to be resolved somehow. Okay, so that's, you know, it's just another one of their dumb things that they're gonna say. Oh yeah, telling you that your best friend, telling you that you're best friends with the only other black person that just started on the job when you've never met them in a day in your life. Like I had something similar happen to me when I was working over in Chatsworth. I was interviewing for a particular position, and you know, these candidates were coming in, and it was a black girl who came in. And the minute the black girl walked in, everybody started walking past the office and whispering, thinking that I was going to be partial to somebody just because they look like me. No. Okay, and the reason why they think this is because they themselves are partial to people who look like them, and they're going to sit here and make special accommodations for people who look like them. I'm more level-headed than that. Okay, you either have the skills or you don't. So obviously I didn't hire that girl. Okay, but that's just one of the ignorant things that they do. Or they assume that you know every black person. Like, oh, do you know so and so? No, I don't know so and so. Okay, not all black people are interconnected. It doesn't work that way. Just like all white people aren't interconnected. Another dumb thing they say. When they say something negative about black people, and then they say, oh, but not you. But not you, you know. I remember, you know, working at this one place, and the owner's wife said something about how, she was talking about Beyonce, okay? Now, I'm sitting here, right? She's talking about Beyonce, and she was talking about Beyonce did, I guess, I don't know, it was a Super Bowl or whatever. I don't know what it was. And she was like, well, and then she came out with all this black supremacy stuff, okay? And I'm like, okay, I'm sitting right here. Absolutely no concern about, you know, being offensive or whatever. But when they say, but not you, because I would say that I'm different from a lot of black people. I mean, I have a different interest than a lot of other black people. But when, at the end of the day, we all get discriminated against regardless, okay? Whether you are a black person from the ghetto, whether you're a black person who graduated from an Ivy League school, or whatever, okay? Because at the end of the day, white people are going to treat you the same, period, okay? So when people start talking about other black people and thinking that I'm not going to be offended by it, even though I may not be one of the ghetto type black people, it's still stupid to talk about. Another dumb one. Oh yeah, this kind of goes along the same thing. They'll come up to you and say, yo, or use the term word, or what up, when they come in, when they meet you, right? Not necessary. Like I said, it's right up there with the you go girl and the girlfriend. Yeah, like we need to hear that. I'm going to scratch that one off too. This guy says, okay, yo, word, and what up, as a greeting whenever greeting their black co-workers, as Ron down the hall does every time he sees me. He said, I'm not reciprocating to that foolishness. I don't blame him. You know, when people say stupid things like that to me, I usually just kind of like, and then just walk off. But I usually think, what an ignorant fucktard. I mean, seriously, you're stupid. Oh, and then this is the last one I thought was funny. You should join our company basketball team, you know? And even though you've never played before, they always assume that you played basketball. I remember when I was in grade school, you know how, like, you know, they line you up in the wall, everybody has to pick teams for PE in grade school. And I remember everybody assuming if it was baseball, which I actually like baseball. Okay, I like baseball. I don't like sports really, but I used to enjoy playing baseball as a kid. And actually, I still like playing baseball. But I like batting, okay? I'm really not that good anymore. But when I was younger, I was pretty good at it. But everybody would, like, you know, I'd like be one of the last kids being picked for any other sport. But when it came to basketball, I was suddenly fought over. Like, we want Maria on our team. And I fucked that game up so bad, it wasn't even funny, okay? And then I came home and I told my mom about it. And she's like, you know, that's what they get for being prejudiced. You shouldn't be, like, you know, they shouldn't have assumed that. But then she explained to me, I didn't realize at the time that black people even affiliate or associated with basketball. But then she told me, you know. So anyway, I thought those were kind of funny, you know. And I know that I have some black targets here on my YouTube channel, so you could probably relate to that. And I'm not trying to create division among people. I'm not. Okay, actually, when I was younger, I had this worldview of not unity, but I just always believed that people were pretty much the same on the inside. I don't necessarily affiliate with black movements or any movement really. I'm kind of a, you know, somebody who doesn't associate or even affiliate. I'm not even of any political affiliation at all. But I do understand, you know, the struggles that black people have. I fully do. I personally just don't think that, you know, putting things through legislation or anything like that really does any good. Okay, because like I said, and there was this lady. She works for, I guess, this bullying organization. Somebody who experienced something similar. She's a white lady. And she's like, you know, wanting to, you know, get laws passed and get this bill, you know, initiated and stuff to, you know, prevent or even hold people accountable for workplace bullying and stuff. Okay, I understand the point, okay, but just like the sexual harassment issue, just like racial discrimination or any other form of discrimination out there, what's going to happen, because all these things started off with the same thing. Something happened, something blew up, and then guess what? They made laws and they tried to get all this stuff done. So then they start initiating training in the workplace, okay? My thing is, it doesn't matter. There's laws all on the books all the time for certain things that are supposed to be used for preventative measures. People don't give a flying rip. They just don't. You know, so in my mind, it's like I personally just have this peaceful look. It's not a passive look. It's just I don't believe that this earth, on a spiritual level, I don't believe that this earth is really ever going to have peace. You know, whereas some people think, well, you know, we have to promote peace. Peace is something that you find as an individual, in my personal opinion, okay? Now, some people think, you know, they've been talking about peace. There's been organizations that have been formed from since the beginning of time. You know, there's people who talk about rights for women, blah, 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 but women still get paid less. You know, they're talking about rights for black people, but black people still get discriminated against in the workplace. There, we talk about sexual harassment, and people do it all the time and don't even think of it, or they don't bat an eye at it. So I'm just somebody who's just trying to ride out the chaos. Because I can see that, the average man doesn't have the ability to wipe out all these evils in the world. They just don't, okay? So the only thing you can do is just take cover, find a peace within yourself, and try to live that to the best of your ability. And you're going to be attacked. Okay, anytime you live your life according to your goals, mind your own business, and you project the image of a peaceful person, there are demons out there that are going to try to attack you. And I personally think, by the way, that the people that I've dealt with are demons. I really do. Or they have some sort of demonic influence to them. Okay, and I would like to talk more about spiritual issues, going forward. I do have another channel that I've been ignoring for quite a while. And maybe I need to add more to it, because I really want to talk more about spiritual things, since I'm not really wanting to argue and address my perps anymore. But I like to talk about, peace, meditation, things like that, whatever. But the peace that I'm talking about is not the kind of peace that can be promoted. You cannot promote peace, okay? You cannot do it, okay? You can't. Okay, in my personal opinion, okay? So if you're interested in hearing my philosophy, and I don't push my philosophy, I simply live my life the way that I want to, and I personally feel as though it's a good way to live. I know in my initial targeting, like anything you say when you're a target, this whole goal is to sit here and try to force you and push your agenda. I was basically saying things like, I would have conversations with coworkers, and I would say things like, I really don't like technology as much. I like technology to a certain degree. Like, for example, I'm, I've been looking at these PowerPoint instructions on how to improve my skills in PowerPoint. And that's a form of technology. I'm on this computer, having fun looking at my eyeballs. I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for technology. I have a balanced view of technology. Some people have to go out and get every single gadget. They got a computer, they got a laptop, they have all these, their phones, their whatever, all these things that they have, okay? And, although they're helpful, and I too enjoy using them, okay, I just don't want to be, overburdened with them. I don't think, my life doesn't revolve around that. And I oftentimes think, I wish things could be simpler, but I have become accustomed to some of these things, okay? But whatever you say, they want to contradict you, or they want to somehow detach you from not being the person who's not interested in technology, and they want you to get into technology. They want you to, if you don't like, if you buy your clothes at the secondhand store, then they want you, they got a store in mind. They want you to go to Hot Lick. That's what they want you to do. So I think it's really funny, but it's a form of manipulation and control. And once again, you don't want to be with people who are going to treat you that way. So don't be afraid to do things on your own. Don't do that. Don't be afraid to get away from the baggage. I've always been better off on my own. I have always been better off on my own. There's been times where, I've socialized with people, and there were times where I had fun in doing it, but then after a while, I'm like, gosh, I really just want to get home, and I want to part well so that we can have another encounter and enjoy each other's company again. But for the most part, I do enjoy being by myself. I really do, I know that other people might look at me and think, well, you really should think about marriage, and you should say, this is how I like my life. I like my life this way. I do. I like it this way. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to, hide anything or feel anything. I know a lot of people would think that. They would insist upon it. And I think that's part of the reason why, these perps constantly, were on my back all the time. But I'm happy by myself. I enjoy doing things on my own. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to, I was hoping that I could move to another place at one time and find people who had similar interests and develop relationships with them, friendships, women friends, and I'm not afraid to have male friends, but the problem with male friends is that, you'll be friends with a guy and eventually they'll start thinking, well, maybe we can have a relationship. I'm not interested in relationships, because relationships mean obligations, and I don't want any obligations. I don't want them. Okay, so they'll tell us, they come up, your perps will come up with stupid solutions. Well, then gain 50 pounds. That's stupid. It's simple as this. Hey, do you want to go out? I'm really not interested in dating. You're a nice guy, and I'm sure that there's a lot of women who would like you, but I'm not interested. You put it in a very polite way, okay? And if they're ugly, then you just say, fuck, hell no. No, just kidding. But you know how to deal with it. You know how to interact with people. You know how to decline offers, is what you do. And it's as simple as that. Everything that the perps are nothing more than entanglements, okay? And they will always be that way. They will not change, okay? And you will not change. And if you do change for the sake of hanging on to people who abuse you, you're going to suffer for the rest of your life, okay? We only live so long on this life, okay? Life expectancy, I think, is 75, maybe 80 now. And that's too short. Look how many years have gone by, how many years I've been on this YouTube channel talking about this issue, and you think about all the other years that these people were devouring, that's a good word, devouring my life, okay? And I look back and I'm thinking, I don't want these people. I don't care what they say, what they do. They can say they're sorry, whatever. It's time to let go. And I encourage you to do so as well. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, fellow TIs, and I'll be back with another one later. Take care. Good night.